أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. نحمدك اللهم يا من نور قلوبنا بأنوار المحبة العلوية، وأكمل لنا ديننا بالولاية المرتضوية، وأتم نعمته علينا بالهداية الحيدرية، ونصلي ونسلم على الخاتم لما سبق، والفاتح لمن غلق، والمعلن الحق بالحق، والدافع جيشات الأباطيل، والدامي سولات الأضاليل، حبيبك وحبيبنا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيت الأطيبين، ولا سيما النور على النور في طخياء الديجور، والإمام المنصور، والسراج المستور، مهدي هذه الأمة وخاتم الأئمة، إمام زماننا الحجة بن الحسن العسكري، عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك وفي كل وليا وحافظا ودليلا قسم به رایحه عطر یاس خوشبویت، تو آمدی به سویم، من نیامدم سویت. همیشه خیر دعایت نجات داده مرا، همیشه خیر دعایت نجات داده مرا. مرا ببخش اگر کم شدم دعا گویم. خوشا به قسمت بحر العلوم نائلی، نگاه ما که نیفتاده است بر رویم. سحر همیشه به یاد حسین گریانی رسیده است به ما هم طریقه و خویان. To pray for the hastening of the reappearance of our awaited Imam, let's recite 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Respected elders, dear younger ones, brothers and sisters in Islam, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this test that every single individual, every single one of us is going through, from the moment that we were born, came into existence, to the moment that we die, there are various changes and various stages in our life. We grow from the moment we are a baby, we grow, we change our body and also our maturity. And then as we're younger and younger, we notice there is a stage from that youngness to that elderly stage. And there is a moment in between the two stages of tiflan and shuyukha, between young, being a young child, and being an elderly, which is the most important stage, which is the most important stage in our lives. Hence you find the Holy Prophet would state, اغتنم شبابك قبل هرمك. Value your youth before elderly age creeps in. And in fact, many times we are reminded about the youth age, that period between being a child and being of elderly age. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran in chapter 14, in this verse He mentions the development of a human being, from what they were within the womb of their mother to what they become. He states, هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُمْ من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم من علقة ثم يخرجكم طفلا ثم لتبلغوا أشدكم ثم لتكونوا شيوخا. You find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Holy Quran of the stages of the human being's development. And one of the most important stages where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you raise your maturity. That child, he goes through a development to become an adult. During that stage, during that age, there are changes in our physique. There are changes in our maturity. And there are changes in our understanding. There are things that make us become an adult. And at that young age is an age which is the peak development of a human being. An age that should be truly cherished. Now we may state it's an age, but is there a true definition about what age we are young, at what age we are a youth? You find there are differences of opinion. For example, in Britain, they state anyone who is under 40 years old, he can still consider himself to be a youth. In Canada, for example, there was a study saying that no, it's from 18 to 30 years old. United Nations also, they themselves state of an age between 18 and 25. Some state up to 23. And various organizations, you might find that they have youth organizations, youth systems, but even the age that the criteria that they have vary. In Islam, is there a specific age for one being one of the members of the youth? No, not a specific age. Rather, it's that age of maturity and that stage in your life between what? Tifla, between being a child, before bulugh, before the stage of adolescence, before the stage of what? Ritual maturity, and what? Between that stage and between that stage of childhood and what? Elderliness, shuyukha. That stage that you notice your body, you notice yourself, your fatigue, your tiredness is no longer that youth age that you had. That youth age that you're full of energy, full of spirit, full of ability, full of capabilities, full of performing what you can. You really have the potential. Hence you find many organizations, they really invest in the youth, and the youth are of paramount importance to them. The youth, they have certain characteristics that are key to their success in life. The youth, you find, those who are successful in their life, they would recall what key characteristics in their life when they were young, how they changed their potential, how they used their potential. One characteristic, for example, they say, is the youth, they're eager to learn education. And this is an opportunity for them to understand. They have questions. Answer. Provide them the answers. Give them the guidance. Give them the way, the tariq. They would ask questions that you may not even know the answer. But let them find the right scholars, right teachers, because they really wish to learn. And you find this, for example, in the Q&A sessions. The youth really want to ask questions, really want to learn about their madhab, about their deen, really want to learn about various things in life, how to really be a successful young member of the community. The youth, what else? They are innovative. They are ready to use new ideas, new methods, and many of them have been successful. You find, for example, those who have been successful in their careers, many times they use something out of the box. They thought of something new, a different idea, a different way to perform something, and it was successful. They are ready for the challenges ahead. They are preparing for that. The youth, they have ambition. They really want to perform to the best of their ability, with the energy that they have. That's why you find one of the roles that one should encourage the youth to have is to give them leadership roles, mentoring roles. One of the moments that the youth would always remember is that day, for example, in their football team, they became a captain. Why? Because when they were a captain, they were given a role to what? To mentor the team, to help the team. They felt that now I've become the leader, the leading member of the team. And that's what you find that the youth really want to succeed in. That's why when we have youth members within our own community, one of the greatest upsets is that the youth feel that they are not using their time wisely. There are opportunities, fursa, for them to perform, to be members of the society, to be members of the community, but many times you find that they respond, that's all I want to do is kill time. All I want to do is waste time. I have nothing really to do. I don't really want to do anything. Who are you to inform me? Who are you to help me? Who are you to... And you find that this negative energy, this negative response has a negative impact on community, on society. Rather, the youth within our communities, within our societies should be encouraged with the potential and the capability that they have to be part and parcel of the society, to help one another, to aid one another, to give their new ideas, to encourage them, to perform to their ability. You find Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he had many companions, true companions, loyal companions, beloved friends. But when it came to some expeditions, when it came to members of the society that he wished to send someone as an ambassador, as a messenger, Rasulullah on many occasions would use the capability of the youth within the community, within society. For example, Mus'ab ibn Umayr. For example, Usama ibn Zayd. For example, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. On many occasions, Rasulullah, he would use him and utilize the great valor, the great bravery, the great courage of Amir al-Mu'mineen during his youth to perform various tasks in the name of Islam for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, many of us have heard the famous statement from the angel Jibreel, La fata illa Ali wa la sayf illa dhul fiqar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us in the Holy Quran of youth members, of young members who dedicated themselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of them were prophets and of them were awliya of Allah. Those who out of love for the sake of Allah performed everything that they performed. One group were who? Ashabul Kahf, the people of the Kahf, the people of the cave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّهُمْ فِتْيَةٌ. They were young members of society. Amanu, what did they do? They had true belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They devoted their time and love for the sake of God, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the idols were all destroyed except for the biggest amongst them, and they asked, Man fa'ala hada? Who performed this? Who destroyed their idols? Who destroyed the ones that we were worshipping and obeying? They said in response that it's a person who is young, يُقَالُ لَهُ Ibrahim. It's a young member of society by the name of Ibrahim, Prophet Ibrahim. During that young age of his, he challenged society. He challenged the mentality of those people who were worshipping idols, who were worshipping other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who were performing shirk. He wanted them to what? To go back to their aql and their intellect at a young age. At a young age, our young mu'mineen, mu'minat, when they have questions, and they have the most inspiring questions. Questions full of what? Full of wisdom. One thing that we should not do is shun them. Shun them and say, who are you to ask this question? Stop asking this question. In fact, the more we stop answering their questions and providing them with the true ilm and knowledge and hikmah from the teachings of Allah and the Ahlul Bayt, from the scholars, then when we close the gate and shun them, they would go to other resources and other places. And then after years and years, don't ask yourselves, why has my son and daughter left the faith? They came to you to ask for questions. If you truly did not know the answer, then guide them to where to go. The ulama, the scholars, the resources, the places for them to gain the true valuable insight from the teachings of the Quran, from the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdalus salatu wassalam. Prophet Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran, Prophet Yusuf in his young age, when there were so many challenges in front of him, so many opportunities for haram, So many opportunities to utilize that shahwa and that desire in an inappropriate, in an illegitimate way. What does he do? He shuns them away and remains devoted to the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remains steadfast on the faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he challenges them. وَغَلَّقَتِ الْأَبْوَابِ. When she closed all the doors and all of those places where others could see, and even placed the cloth on the idol, and she approached Prophet Yusuf in his young age, in his moment of his handsomeness, in his moment of utmost beauty, the Prophet of Allah Yusuf, he challenges her. What are you doing? Stop from this sinful act that you wish to approach. And says to her, why did you place that cloth on that idol? She says, so the idol does not see. He says in response, Subhanallah, you place a cloth on that idol, but you'll never be able to place a cloth on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bearing witness upon our actions. Reminding them that even in such a moment, أَلَمْ يَعْلَمْ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. Mankind, be aware that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing you, is aware of your actions. That's why in every stage in our life, from the moment we were a young child till our last moments in our life, the greatest time, the greatest age that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves His creation is that young member who devotes themselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith states, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُبَاهِي بِالشَّامِ الْعَبْدَ الشَّامِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala congratulates, sends glad tidings for that young male, for that young female, young brother, young society, young sister in society. He informs His angels, Allah informs His angels that look at my young abd, look at that young creation of mine. He had all of the desires, all of the haram in front of him. He had everything else to do, but he remained attached to the devotion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَقَضَى. He made sure that he spent his time in ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As we mentioned, obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not just salah and sawm and fasting. That is one form of ibadah. One form of ibadah is taqwa Allah, having the God consciousness. One form of ibadah is just to remain attached on the faith and away from sins. One form of ibadah is talabul halal, earning a livelihood. One form of ibadah is having the best of akhlaq, best of manners and morals. What else? The hadith states from a man who went to Basra and he returned. He went to Basra to spread the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt, spread the teachings of the Quran. After some time he came to the Imam of his time, who Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Imam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam asked him, how were the people of Basra when you approached them? He started to give his response about the people of Basra. How were they? What were the situation there? Imam said, عَلَيْكَ بِالْأَحْدَاثِ فَإِنَّهُمْ أَسْرَعُ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ. When you return to Basra, when you return to the community, focus on the young members, on the young brothers, on the young sisters, for they are the ones who will come quickly towards the khair, towards goodness. Many times when we ask, for example, there is this event, who is ready to volunteer? You find the young members, they say, I am ready, I am prepared, I want to perform this task, I want to help out. What can I do to be a member of this community and help? And this is the support that we need to always give them. That this place, this community, this center is for our youth, run by our youth, for everyone to participate and be part and parcel of. Indeed, you find, for example, he would state that بَادِرُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ. Imam states, as a warning, as a reminder for us all, brothers and sisters, especially in this time and age. He says, reminds us, بَادِرُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ بِالْحَدِيثِ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَسْبِقُكُمْ إِلَيْهِ الْمُرْجِئَةِ. He says, you start, sit down with your son, sit down with your daughter, sit down with the young members of the community, start to give them the ahadith, the narrations of the Ahlul Bayt, the teachings of the Quran. Before who starts? Before the murja starts, before the deviant starts. Why? Because that young heart, Amir al-Mu'minin said, that young member, that young brother, that young sister, their heart is like an uncultivated land. The heart of a young one is like an uncultivated land. It receives whatever is thrown at it. When the young member of our community is here, you initiate some lessons of ahadith, some lessons of Quran, some lessons of fiqh. How many times do we have that people say after 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I didn't know how to perform wudu. I didn't know the rules of salah. I didn't know the rules of zakat. I didn't know the rules of aqaid, the teachings of usul ad-din. I was unaware of this. And that was actually a good response, that at least he admits his mistakes, that he was unaware. And there were those who even deviated from the path. Why? Because when they wanted and were ready to gaining the knowledge, to gain the teachings, others came. Sabaqakum, others came and gave them and fed them from their teachings. Of course, shaitan, what does he say? Shaitan himself, he states that when he wants to attract someone towards his path, he would never say, by the way, this is a sinful act, this is haram, this is illegitimate, this is illegal, this is against the rules. No. What does he say? Iblis say? He says that what? فَزَيَّنَ لَهُمْ عَمَلَهُمْ. Allah says in the Quran, He makes that haram act look nice. He glamorizes it and attracts you towards the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why our youth today need to remind themselves, and we need to remind themselves, that this is the opportunity that we should not lose out on. This is the fursa that we have. That if we want to be true members and followers of our Imam of our time, it's during our youth age. It's during the moments that we're young. Hence you find even in our qabr, even on the day of judgment, the first of questions that they ask, مَاذَا عَمِلْتَ فِي شَبَابِكَ? What did you perform when you were young? How much did you really devote yourself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during your youth? Hence, our beloved Imams would remind us that during our youth, our members of our community, our dear brothers and sisters, Imam al-Sadiq says, he would say they should be occupied in one of two things. إِمَّا عَالِمًا أَوْ مُتَعَلِّمًا. Either they are learning and seeking knowledge, or they are teaching and passing on that knowledge to others. For if they are not seeking knowledge, nor teaching and passing that knowledge onwards, they are wasting their time. And if they are wasting their time, they are losing out. And if they are losing out, then they are what? They are sinning. And if they are sinning, that sins will increase and accumulate, not leading them towards Jannah. Or you find, what else does the Imam state? He reminds us that when it comes to the youth, there are challenges that they have. Challenges that we need to know today. How to manage those challenges. What should we do with our youth? How should we incorporate our youth in our communities? By the way, the youth are main members of our community. Don't ever think that a youth program is a side program. A youth program is just for us to keep the majlis full and the youth is somewhat aside. No, our youth are our investment, are our leaders for tomorrow. The youth, the more we invest in them, the more we have a secure future. The youth are the ones that the Imam of our time is proud and honored with. The youth today around the world who are working in honor and love of the Imam of the time. And remember, there is no age limit for being a young member of the community. Someone here may be 99 years old, says, yes, I'm young in heart. There is no age and restriction for the youth. Now, some of the guidelines or the challenges that we have that we need to be aware of. From that stage, remember we said, Tifla, they're a child. There is that change towards adulthood. There is that moment, from a moment where they are sober, dependent with their parents, with their surroundings, and now they're heading to an independent life. Now that they're heading towards an independent life, it should not mean that now it's freedom and I can do whatever I want. Now that I'm an adult, 18 years old, who are you to tell me what to say? In fact, no. From the moment that they're a child and as they're growing through that bulugh, throughout that maturity, we need to give them the guidelines and the guidance so that they're ready during the moments of their independence. They know their boundaries. They know their restrictions. Sometimes we have been, and we've seen this, that when they give them the ultimate freedom and the ultimate independence, the parent asks, where's my son gone? At 4 a.m. he returns at night. He doesn't ask any questions. Son returns at 4 a.m. He has no idea. Daughter, he's given her a brand new car for her birthday, but has no idea where is she going, what are the restrictions, what are the guidelines, where should they be going, what's the situation. So that stage between dependence and independence should be a moment of what? Feeding or nourishing the guidelines, the guidance, so that there is a trust between the parents and their son and daughter. Trust between the community center and the youth. That they trust them when I give them the keys to use the Hussainiyah, to use the masjid, because they know their limits and we know the guidelines. There is that trust that they are the ones that will take care of the Hussainiyah. They'll take care of the center. How many times has it been that they've given the keys and the youth have not used it to the best of ability? They say, here, the center is for you to use, but they're not using. Or they've given it to a few members, but because they were not aware of the guidelines or the true way to use the best potential of the center, they have abused it. They have abused it and not taken the best approach towards using this place for true devotion and love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that trust needs to be built between them. Also, guidelines regards to cultural, because these are sometimes challenges the youth face. Cultural and traditional norms. Many times the youth who have grown up in the West, they're not aware, or they find it a challenge. There are differences of opinion, different cultures, different understandings. Sometimes it's just about being alert, awareness. Let them be aware. Don't shun them. Don't disrespect them. Don't embarrass them in front of others. Sometimes if there is an etiquette that you are aware of, and that etiquette is something that you've grown with, for example, adab of sitting in a majlis. Sometimes you find some youth, they in their surrounding, out of their innocence, their etiquette of that sitting in a majlis may be different to what we are used to. Don't embarrass them immediately. Sometimes it needs a leenul kalam. All it needs a soft approach to speaking to our young ones, our dear ones, and they will truly understand the respect that you give them, the love that you give them for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one of the challenges that we need to be aware of is the youth, with the great time, the precious time that they have, is to utilize that energy in a halal, legitimate way. We mentioned, for example, the sports and games. Many young members of our community, they can perform and enhance their abilities by performing what? Sports, by being involved in sports and games. Fun, halal activities. Young members say that, for example, we want to perform and play games and have a football match within the halal restrictions, within what? That I want to, for example, hire this hall to play basketball, a sisters only event. Why? Because they know that together they can build bonds, strengthen friendship. Many times you find that many members of our community, they become the best of friends after going on a ziyarah trip that they organized, or the Hajj trip that they went on, or Umrah that they went on, or a camp for the youth. The best form of what? Of reforming the society, of helping one another, of guiding one another. Camps where there is fun and faith, an element of fun and an element of understanding the religion. That's why you find that even of those members of our society who have that free time, that opportunity, one of the responses that the Imam says, the seventh Imam says, regards to free time, he says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَكْرَهُ الْعَبْدُ النَّوَّامِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala detests that abd, that servant, that young member who is always asleep, who is always idle. One is encouraged to perform the activities, to perform as much they can for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As a young member, as a youth member of our community. Find when it comes to Karbala, for example, many of the youth, they are involved in what? In poetry. Encourage them. Many of the youth, they want to become youth speakers. Encourage them. Reciters of the Holy Quran. Encourage them. Dua reciters. Encourage them. The chairman of the majlis, encourage them. Hence you find a poem that I will always remember. Wake up, O gallant Muslim youth, come forward and defend the truth. How Ali Akbar took the spear for truth, take the spear for Imam Mahdi. That you be prepared and ready, that during your young ageness, your youth, you come forward and be a true lover of the Imam of the time. That a young member of our community, he relates himself to Karbala, he relates himself to the Imam of his time, and he strengthens his bond and love and connection to the Imam of our time today. How many of us remember our Imam of our time as a young member of our society, as a young member of our community, as a young member who has love towards the Imam? Man ahabba shay'an lahija bidhikrih. That one who loves something constantly mentions it, talks about it. You find our youth, when they speak with one another, they'll speak nights and days about their favorite team, their favorite sports team. Not only that, nights and days they'll talk about their favorite game. What level I'm on, how many lives I have, how many points I have, who did I defeat, what did I do, what color I am, and everything like that. But if we are true lovers of the Imam of our time, man ahabba shay'an lahija bidhikrih, they would be in love with talking about that which they love. How many of us in our youth, in our young members, we find that they would truly talk about the love they have towards the Imam of their time? How many of us as young members of society are inviting others to the path of our beloved Imam, to the path of Karbala, to the path of Imam al-Hussain? For you find those who were with Imam al-Hussain, there were young members in Karbala. Young members starting from the very 6-month-old baby who sacrificed himself for Imam al-Hussain for the sake of Allah, till the elderly ones. But the lessons we learn are from the young members who were ready to give everything in love and honor of the Imam of their time. Like how the Prophet taught us that those young who give themselves and devote themselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah yubahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends utmost rewards to them for their infinite sacrifice for the sake of Allah. For they gave everything they can during that moment for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Time is precious. Time is a treasure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us all. Do not lose it. Do not abuse it. Time is something that will never be given back to us. Your yesterday has passed. Your tomorrow is uncertain. Your today is to be taken advantage of. Amir al-Mu'min says, Al-an, qabla al-nadam. Take advantage of now, before regret sets in. Al-an, now, before we say, Ya hasrata ala ma farrattu fi jambillah. Oh, I am full of regret for that which I prioritized before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. None of us are certain that we are here next year. But what we are certain is that we are here today in a gathering of remembrance of the one who was Aba Abdullah, who was Sayyid al-Shuhada. And we wish to embark on that ark to be and remain on his ship, on his ark. The one who was known as Sayyidi Shabab Ahlul Jannah. If I'm a true follower of Imam al-Hussain, of Imam al-Hassan, they were the masters of the youth of paradise. They are the masters of the youth of paradise. As youth today, I need to be aware, who are my role models today? Who are the ones that I follow? Who are my influences in the world today? You find many of the youth today, their influences, you see yourselves, from the way they talk, from the way they speak, from the way they act. Some of the influences, they may be by name Muslims, but just look at their actions. Are they the actions of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad? That before they sleep, they have to spend hours and hours on the video, checking this person's lifestyle. What color clothing? How do they put makeup on? How do they move their hair? How do they touch this? How do they, everything about their lifestyle. How do they cook? How do they move? How do they open their car? And slowly you find subconsciously that they have become influenced about their lifestyle. Some of the mu'mineen, some of the dear brothers and sisters, when you even see when they speak, they've changed their accent, they've changed their lifestyle, everything in accordance to that influencer. But how much is that influencer a true muhibb of Muhammad al Muhammad? A true person who attracts me closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much of those influences have truly brought me closer towards salah, towards the Ahlul Bayt, towards the remembrance of Muhammad al Muhammad, towards the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We need to be careful. The social media that we are using. Now, we don't say, again, as we said this in the very beginning, we don't say that the youth should not be using social media. There is something good within it, take advantage of it. But there are disadvantages, and there are the enemies who are trying their very best to attack us. Sometimes the enemy has the weapon right in front of us, they will attack. Sometimes they'll have the weapon from behind and attack us from behind. Sometimes subconsciously they'll seep into our minds, seep into our thoughts, seep into our young people. You may put them a video to watch, but the adverts are adverts which are inappropriate for them to see. Sometimes you are seeing something in itself, subconsciously, the thoughts, the views are things that we should not be addressing or should not be providing our young ones, young brothers and sisters. That's why, as young members of the community, young brothers and sisters, our time, our moments in our lives, are moments that would be hasra if we don't use it in accordance to the teachings of Allah, in accordance to the teachings of the Quran, in accordance to the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim afdal salatu wa salam, Muhammad and Ahlul Muhammad salawatullah wa salam alayhim ajma'in. So we build our relations and we build our love as young members of society. That young member who was there in Karbala, we show our love towards them, because Madrasatul Hussain is for everyone. The University of Imam al-Hussain, the School of Imam al-Hussain is for everyone, especially the youth, to learn from the events of Karbala, to be of those who state, Alimtu min al-Hussain. What did I learn from the Majlis of Imam al-Hussain, from the Madrasa of Imam al-Hussain, from the Ark of Imam al-Hussain? You find from the very young members who were family members of Imam al-Hussain, and young members who were accompanying the companions of Imam al-Hussain, there are lessons for us to learn from. During the nights and days of Muharram, Imam al-Hussain had his companions, those lovers who were beside them. Imam sends a letter to Kufa, because in Kufa there was a curfew, and many of the muhibbi of Imam al-Hussain, the lovers of Imam al-Hussain, some of them were imprisoned, and some of them were unable to leave Kufa. There was one elderly member who was during his youth and childhood age, was a close muhib of Imam al-Hussain. You see the importance of giving good friends towards your young children from a young age. Choose suitable friends for them, good mu'mineen. Let them surround good people, good individuals that bring them closer to Allah, closer to the Ahlul Bayt, that they remind them, Ahabbul ikhwan ilayk. Amir al-Mu'min says, the most beloved of my friends is one who draws me closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who obeys Allah and helps me to obey Allah, who stays away from sin and prevents me from sinning, prevents me from performing haram. That's a good friend, a good dear one. Imam Abi Abdullah al-Hussain, during his childhood age in the city of Medina, had a great beloved friend by the name of Habib ibn Madahir. Years pass, Habib ibn Madahir is in Kufa. Imam al-Hussain, the nights and days of Muharram is where he's in Karbala. Sayyidah Zainab asks, Ya Aba Abdullah, who are you waiting for night and day? It's as if you are waiting for someone. Imam al-Hussain sends a letter. That letter arrives towards Habib ibn Madahir in Kufa, whilst he is having his meal with his wife and his friend, his companion. Habib ibn Madahir receives that letter from his beloved childhood age friend. A friend who was with him during his youth. A friend who was with him during the moments that he would cherish and love during his young age. He looks at the letter and starts to sob and weep and cry. Why is it that you cry? He said, this is the letter from Habibi Hussain, my beloved master, my beloved friend Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. It's as if there is a cry, Ala hal min nasirin yansuruni, Ala hal min mu'inin. Is there anyone to be with Aba Abdullah al-Hussain? Imam asks for Habib, Aina Habib, where are you Habib? You are my childhood age friend. You are the one who was with me in Medina. Habib, I'm now in Karbala. Habib ibn Madahir and his wife, they set that they will move towards Karbala. His companion, his servant says, Habib, you are going towards Karbala and you ask me to leave and be free. No, oh Habib, let me be with the servants of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. Let me be with those who are the grandsons of Rasulullah, with the grandsons of Rasulullah. Days and days pass. Habib ibn Madahir arrives the moments and nights before the event of Karbala, the event of Ashura. Imam al-Hussain looks at Habib, oh friend of mine, during our young age, during our childhood age, Ya Habib. They hug one another, remembering one another, cherishing one another. In that same night where Imam al-Hussain looks at the companions, he gives them an opportunity to leave. Imam looks at them. They look at Habib ibn Madahir, who was the elder amongst them. They say, oh Habib, we will remain with Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. What would we respond to our mother, his mother Fatima al-Zahra? What would we respond on the day of judgment? That, oh Fatima al-Zahra, we saw your son Wahid and Farida, but we left him all alone in Karbala. One by one the companions become shuhada of Karbala. They would see a smile in the face of Habib ibn Madahir. Oh Habib, what brings you joy and happiness that you smile? He says, my smile is that we shall become shuhada with Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. Su'ada, that we will be with Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. One of the young companions, Muslim Na'usaja, when it's the moment of his shahada, Imam al-Hussain comes to one side, Habib ibn Madahir comes to another side. He looks at him. Habib ibn Madahir tells him, do you have a final wasiyah? Do you have a final wish? He says, Ya Habib, awsika bihada. Oh Habib, I have a final wish. It is that you remain on the path of Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. Ya Habib, iyak an tamu. Oh Habib, make sure that you do not die unless you are on the path of Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. One by one the shuhada of Karbala, the companions depart this world until Habib ibn Madahir becomes one of the shuhada of Karbala. Tonight we are also going to remember one of the young members of Karbala, one of the very young members. He was the son of Imam al-Hasan al-Mujtaba. He was very young. Some said that he may have been 11 years old when he saw Imam al-Hussain after the companions became shuhada. After the family members became shuhada, after the young Ali Akbar became shaheed, after his brother Qasim became shaheed, after his beloved family members became shuhada, after Aba Abdullah al-Hussain would bid farewell, he would be in the middle of the battlefield. Imam al-Hussain would call out, Hal min nar? ناصر ينصرني. Is there anyone to be victorious with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? There would be a young son of Imam al-Hassan, Abdullah ibn al-Hassan. He would run towards his beloved uncle Abu Abdullah. The enemies would strike Imam al-Hussein, some of them with their spears, some of them with their swords, some of them throwing rocks. He would come, Ya Am, oh beloved uncle, why is your head drenched in blood? Why are there arrows on your body? Harmala, he would prong a three-pronged arrow. He would strike an arrow onto Abdullah ibn al-Hassan. They would strike him and sever his hand. He would look at him, uncle, Abu Abdullah, Amya Hussein, they've severed my hands, they've struck my body. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The son of Imam al-Hassan, the young Abdullah ibn al-Hassan, becomes one of the shuhada of Karbala. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. أما يجيب أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. يا الله يا حامد بحق محمد، ويا عالي بحق علي، ويا فاطر بحق فاطمة، ويا محسن بحق الحسن، ويا قديم الإحسان بحق الحسين، وبحق التسعة المعصومين من ذرية الحسين. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج، واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين بين يديه. اللهم ارزقنا توفيق الطاعة وبعد المعصية وصدق النية. اللهم ارزقنا زيارة الحسين وفي الآخرة شفاعة الحسين. اللهم شافي وعافي كل مريض. For the shifa of Sister Farah Asif, for the shifa of all the marhumin, for the shifa of all the marda, and for the thawab of all the marhumin, mu'mineen, mu'minat. We had a tragic loss in our community, Sister Hania Fayyaz and Haj Qurban Ali Ghulami, who would like to remember them with a Surah Al-Mubarakat Al-Fatiha, and before it a very loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah. Matam al-Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain,
Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain.
جهت آمرز شماد مخصوصا مرحومین که سالهای قبل مبا بود امسال جایشان خالی است. مرحومه هانیه فیاض، صلوات بلند می‌برند. عزادارانی که دسته سینه‌زنی ساده سینه میزنند در این فایل باشن، دوستایی که میشینن لطفاً در این صفحه دیگه بیاین. صلوات بلند می‌برند. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. حلال جمیع مشکلات است حسین شوینده لوح سیئات است حسین ای شیعه تو را چه غم ز طوفان بلا جایی که سفینه تو نجات است حسین صلوات محمد ای علمدار شای شهیدان ای شهید ره دین و قرآن ای فدا گشته در راه جانان از شبی سر پاره پیکر مانده جسمت بسر ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل ای سپهدار در خون تپیده ای به دریای خون آرمیده چون تو سقا به عالم که دیده که دهد جان لعلیت شان در کنار دو دریا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل کی برید از کین انجرت را کی جدا کرده از تن سرت را کی فکنده به خون پیکرت را کس ندیده این چونین ظلم از یهود و نصارا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل فضل کی بریده دو دست رسایت کی به خاک سیه داده جایت نی عجب گر کند در ازایت آهزاری بیقراری مومن و گبر و ترسا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل بگو یا ابوالفضل یا فضل تو علمدار سلطان دینی نور چشمان و ملبنینی از چه بی سر بروی زمینی ای که نامت تا قیامت گشت محبوب دلها ابوالفضل یا الفضل یا ابوالفضل ابوالفضل خیز و بنگر که سلطان خوبان آمده در برد زار و نالان گشته از ظلم بیداد دوران بی کس و یار بین اشرار مانده تنهای تنها ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل در حرم کودکان دل کبابن عزتش جمله در استرابن منتظر بهر یک جرعه آبن دل پرآذر دیده بر در مانده در راه سقا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل ابوالفضل جان عالم به قربان نامد احمدی این کمینه غلامد از پی وصف قدر و مقامت گشتن هر جا مجلس آرا با چنین شیر شیوا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل الفضل ای سر سروران خاک پایت چون تو شاهی و عالم گدایت شیعه هر جا به بزم عزایت چون هزاران با صدقان می کند شور و غوغا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل یا ابوالفضل و تقبل طاعاتکم به مثابه ابا عبدالله الحسین علیه السلام. خداوند این قلیل عزاداری را از همه ما و شما و کرمش بدون ریا قبول بگرداند. به حرمت محمد و آل محمد صلوات.
صلوات دوم را بلندتر. من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم عشق او مایه سوز سازم عشق او مایه سوز سازم روی او قبلگاه نیازم از غلامی او سرفرازم چاکر بر سرای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم دل ز مهر رخش بر نگیرم این مرامم بود تا بمیرم در غمش را به جان پذیرم زنده چون با ولای حسین حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم بر سر کوی او من بمانم بر سر کوی او من ببایم هست بر امید و هراسم صاحبم را نگو من شناسم من سنگ با وفای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم او کریم است و از خود نراند او کریم است و از خود نراند هر گدایی که او را بخواند باش گویم که هر کس بداند من قرین عطا حسینم گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم گرچه از حد فزون شد گناهم پور زهرا بود عذر خواهم روز محشر نگو به پناهم در پناه لبای حسینم گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم گرچه از حد فزون شد گناهم پور زهرا بود عذر خواهم روز محشر نگو به پناهم در پناه لبای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم گریم از ماتم اکبر او بر لب تشنه از غری تو بر تن بی سر و بر سر تو خون جگر در عذاب حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم من گدایم گدای حسینم عاشق کربلای حسینم بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات
پیشانی بار حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری صلوات دیگر بلندتر خدمت کنید حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری برادر به پیکر چرا سر نداری پیکر چرا سر نداری کفن در بدن جا نخواهر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری با قربان این پیکر چاک و چاکت با قربان این پیکر چاک و چاکت بمیرم برایت که خواهر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری رسیده زمان سواری زینب رسیده زمان سواری زینب چرا از دل خاک تو سر بر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری ز جا خیز کن با یتیمان نواحی ز جا خیز کن با یتیمان نواحی و طفلان تو آموز دل مرمرانی حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری ز جا خیز با ما تو عصمی سفر کن ز جا خیز با ما تو عصمی سفر کن مگر قصد رفتن تو دیگر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری حسینم عزیزم چرا سر نداری بمیرم برایت که مادر نداری صلوات محمدیه
یا حسین 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 محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے 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 ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے اس نوری کارواں میں نوری ہماریاں ہے نوری ہماریوں میں نوری سواریاں ہے نوری سواریاں ہے سر پر علم کھلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ کاربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ کاربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے اس نوری کارواں میں نوری ہماریاں ہے نوری ہماریوں میں نوری سواریاں ہے نوری سواریاں ہے سر پر علم کھلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ 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 ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے نامحرموں کا مجمع ہٹ ہٹ کے ہے گزرتا پہرے میں باوفا کے طے ہو رہا ہے رستا طے ہو رہا ہے رستا کیا شان و دبدبا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ 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 ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس جیسا بھائی سالار کارواں ہے بولے حسین مجھ کو پھر کوئی ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ 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 ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے زینب حیا کی ملکہ کلثوم اور سکینہ لیلا رباب فروا کبریٰ سکینہ فیضا کبریٰ سکینہ فیضا ہر بیوی باردہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے زینب حیا کی ملکہ کلثوم اور سکینہ لیلا رباب فروا کبریٰ سکینہ فیضا کبریٰ سکینہ فیضا ہر بیوی باردہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے محفوظ قافلہ ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے عباس جیسا بھائی سالار کارواں ہے بولے حسین مجھ کو پھر کوئی غم کہاں ہے پھر کوئی غم کہاں ہے ہر غم کی یہ دوا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے ابھی دور کربلا ہے عباس جو زندہ ہے بلند تر
محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد متوجہ زیارت بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم السلام على رسول الله حبيب الله خيرته من خلق خاتم الأنبياء والمرسلين أبو القاسم محمد المصطفى ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام على أمير المؤمنين ووسير رسول رب العالمين أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام على فاطمة الزهراء البتول سيدة النساء العالمين ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام على ست رحمة وإمامي الهدى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله عبدا ما بقيت بقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله فرادي مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين خصوصا سيدي يا مولاي أبو الفضل العباس وأختك زينب أم كلثوم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام على أئمة المسلمين وحجج الله على خلقه علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل مخرجك واجعلنا من أنصارك وأعوانك والمستشهدين بين يديك في جملة أوليائك ورحمة الله وبركاته. صلوات.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله